Hi everybody, welcome back to another one of my DayZ Console Server modding videos for PlayStation and Xbox, although this does apply to PC as well. And in this video I just wanted to do a short introduction to the CLE, or the Central Loot Economy for DayZ. You'll see lots of references and hear lots of references to the CLE when you're watching videos about DayZ modding, server modding. Because it's core to a lot of the things we want to do. And one of the things we want to do the most is adjust the loot in the map, don't we? We want to take things away, or more likely we want to add things. Normally we want to add more guns, and we want to add more food. And this is all done through adjusting the central loot economy. And I'll put a link to this article on the DayZ wiki in the description below this video, because it's quite almost magical what the central loot economy does. What the central loot economy does, in combination with the DayZ.exe or the DayZ server.exe that's running your server, what it does in combination with types.xml and various XML files that are on your server that you can modify as a console server owner, it looks at these files and and these files tell the game how many of a particular item to spawn in, and where to spawn it in, and when to get rid of it, and other files are what condition it should be in. And you might think, well, yeah, so what? Well, the so what bit is the fact that the map is so huge with DayZ, and the fact that there are tens of thousands of items that need to spawn in. Not different items, there's hundreds of different items, but in tens of thousands of different locations on this map. And these items have to be spawned in a logical way, and they need to be spawned in a fair way so you can play the game. And they also need to be cleaned up as well. And the CLE does it pretty well. So what happens is, on the map, if we zoom in a little bit, just to give you an idea. So let's go into the center of this Chernogorsk, I think. So DayZ is made up of obviously the countryside, and then towns and villages and cities that have lots of different areas inside them. Some of them will be domestic areas where you've got houses, then you'll have industrial areas, then you'll have medical areas, then you'll have military areas, and the appropriate loot for that particular area will spawn in that area. So if you go to a military area, say where there's some military tents or some guardhouses, you might find some military uniforms or maybe some guns. If you go into a domestic house area, you'll find maybe some food or some basic clothes. If you go into an industrial area, you might find some hammers or some nails or some glues or stuff like that. And the I Survive map kind of shows you where all this stuff will be. And the central loot economy has to manage all of this. And basically, the way it works is it looks at areas of the maps at a time, sections of the map, and it looks at them and says, okay, what's here? What do I need to spawn? What am I allowed to spawn? Let's spawn it. Then it moves on. Then it moves on. Then it moves on. Then it moves on. And it does, over a period of time, it does the whole map. Then it goes back again and keeps on doing it. Keeps on doing it that way. So the reason why I'm kind of going over this is because when you do adjustments to the central loot economy by editing the types.xml file or the spawnable types.xml, those sorts of files themselves, the changes that you put into effect have got to affect this whole map. And because there's so many thousands of different locations where things can go, just remember that the changes you make, it may not be readily apparent that there are any changes when you go in and test, or the players in your server go in and test. Also, you don't want to be making massive changes. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make to the central loot economy, in the fact that say there's 150 compasses spawn on the map. Okay, a big mistake people make is they'll go, I'll tell you what, let's have 400 compasses, or it's more likely with guns actually. Let's say, 15 AKSs spawn in. People go, let's have 200 of them. If you add too much stuff into the loot economy, it will break the economy, because, as I say, it's doing it section by section. So if it can't find enough space for a particular thing, it'll either flood an area with stuff, which means that you won't get other essential items, or it will just stop working completely. I get emails from people saying, I don't understand, I've added 400 M416s to my server, but I can't seem to find any of them. Well, it's because you've gone too much. You really want to just look at doubling stuff as a maximum. And wherever you add stuff, you should also try to be taking stuff away. So if you add, for example, some specific types of clothing, you want to take other types of clothing away, so it kind of stays balanced, so it doesn't put too much strain on the server. So just think about those things, the fact that the DayZ map is so huge. Just think about the fact that there are tens of thousands of locations, or thousands of locations for things on that map, and they're all divided into categories of what the item is, where it should go, and how long it should hang around with before it despawns. And when you do your adjustments, when we're going through the files, when we're doing the edits, just remember there is an awful lot here for the game to do, and your changes might not seem to be making effect and will take a while to take effect as well. So have a good read of that central loot economy, and it's a good kind of primer for when we start to dive in and we really start digging through the types.xml files and start playing around with the central loot economy to give our servers a different flavor, whether that be to make them harder by reducing things like the food, and increasing zombies and increasing things like wolves and bears, or making them easier by adding more weapons and more food. There we go. Hopefully you found that useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And of course, if you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments down below, because I use those questions to drive the content for this channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.